London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. London Bridge is a two-chord song. It starts with a C. And you probably already know, if you've done all these videos, that C is just where you put your third finger on the third fret of the first string. Remember, first string is closest to the floor. And you strum all four strings, and that would be a C chord. Now, to make your G7 chord, which is the other chord in the song, you take this finger and you slide it back to the second fret, and then you simultaneously put your index finger on the first fret of the second string, and then your middle finger on the second fret of the third string. And it looks just like that. Though use your ears, not your eyes so much, because it's hard to see, but your ears won't lie to you. If it sounds like this, then you've got it. All right, so it goes from C, and then you slide that finger back and add the other two for G7. And then you just do a double strum. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. And you can write the chords on your music if you'd like. The trick is knowing what word, what syllable to change on. So where do you change chords at? The first two measures or the first phrase is on C. London Bridge is falling down. And then that last measure of the top line, you go to your G7. Falling down. And then for the second line, you go right back to C. Falling down. And then the next two measures are a repeat. London Bridge is falling down. And then the next measure on the bottom line there, my fair. And then you go back to C. Lady. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. So to play the melody on your uke, you start with a G. That would be the third fret of your second string. So it sound like that. And then your second note is the open A string. And then you come right back to this G. So I just leave that finger right there. Now notice how it has that kind of skippy sound. London Bridge, London Bridge. So I'm just looking at the first three notes. Well, if you look at the first note, it's a quarter note, but then it has a dot. That actually means it lasts longer. It lasts as long as a quarter note and an eighth note put together. And then the second note, that A, is an eighth note, but it happens after the downbeat. And then the third note is back to G again. So you've got the quarter note with a dot, which means it lasts a little longer than a normal quarter note. Then you have the eighth note, which is a short note. And then you go back to a quarter note for the G. So those three notes sound like this. London Bridge, London Bridge. Now musicians practice this kind of counting. They count it out and they do it mathematically. And that's a little beyond the scope of this video, but just, you know how this song goes, so just make sure you have that kind of skippy sound. London Bridge, London Bridge. And if you can make it sound like that, then you have the correct timing. And then we have the F, that's the first fret. And then open, first fret, third fret. So London Bridge is falling down. I'll count us in, and you can try and play along. It goes like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. London Bridge is falling down. All right. Now I'll do that again, and you might need to practice on your own, but then hopefully after a little practice you'll be able to follow on the video. I'm going to loop that part 4 times, so I'm just going to do it over and over again and see if you can play along with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. London Bridge is falling down. London Bridge is falling down. London Bridge is falling down. One more time. London Bridge is falling down. So now I'm going to move on to the third measure, the last measure in the top line there. You're going to use the 2nd fret of the 3rd string to catch that D, fall, and then we have an open E string, ding, and then an F, 1st fret on the E string, down, falling down. I'll count to 4 and see if you can do that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, falling down. Notice down is a half note. It has the open note head that gets 2 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Falling down. So then the first measure of the 2nd line is E, F, and G. So we have our open E string. The 1st fret is a F. The 3rd fret is a G. And notice the G is a half note. Falling down. I'll count to 4. You can do that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. Falling down. All right, so now let's do the song up to measure 4. I'll count us in. 1, 2, 3, 4. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. All right, so if you get to where you can play that far with me, well, then you just about got the whole song, because the next 2 measures is just a repeat of the beginning. If you look at the second 2 measures in the 2nd line, London Bridge is falling down, that's identical to our first 2 measures, so you're just repeating there. So let's skip to the bottom line. Notice that the first measure on the bottom line is 2 half notes. You have a D and then a G. So D is the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and G is the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. And I hold my hand just like this. You can just hold both notes down in advance. My fair. Then you take your hand off of that because it ends with 2 open string notes. E, lay, and then a C, D. So the end is like this. My fair lady. Oops, I made a mistake. My fair lady. Notice lady. Lay is a quarter note, and D is a half note. My fair lady. I'll count to 4, see if you can play that with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. My fair lady. Okay, well, if you have all that, then I think we're ready to play the whole song together. So you can try and sing and pluck the notes with me. That's more advanced. But you can also just strum the chords and sing. All right, let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 4. London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. All right, well, there's London Bridge for you, and I'll see you next video.